recognize me from presenting the Tulip TV episodes. And today we're here in my studio because I'm also a visual artist. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about my art. The reason we're filming today is my art is different because every piece of art that I sell, I donate 10% of the sale price to the Cancer Society. The reason for that being is I'm a survivor myself, so I'd like to support it. And that whole experience is one of the reasons, of course, while I'm painting. I used to be a corporate kind of a girl working in the corporate world. And 3 years ago, I finally decided life was too short and I've always wanted to paint, and I wanted to follow my passion, which is, apart from travel, is painting. I'm having a show in a couple of weeks in October 18th. It's on Granville Island, and it's all about the earth. A lot of my pieces reflect impressions that I had during my travels of the earth. And this is an example of these paintings up here, where you look down on the earth. It's kind of like a bird's eye view, and we hear so much about global warming and about the changes in climate, and all these things have really affected my painting in the last year. There are some pieces that are actually realist, abstract. They're not entirely abstract because I was very much moved by the Japanese earthquake, the tsunami that they had, and I have a couple of pieces that are solely about that Japanese tsunami, and they show the nuclear reactors, the disaster of that, and they show the big wave and all the damage and all these things that are floating in the ocean right now, and that we have no idea where it's gonna, well, we know where it's probably gonna land, but when it's gonna land and what type of impact that's going to have on our land. So these are the kind of things that also very much influenced my paintings, and the Earth Show is partially about that. And then of course it's also my impression of the Earth, and from my travels, what I've seen and how it made me feel, and some of the abstracts portray that. So there's some very warm, hot pieces. It was warm colors and bright colors that are from my travels to very warm countries and hot countries, and the deserts and the dryness and the drought that I've seen. And then others are very influenced by water and what's happening in the oceans these days. So that's kind of what the show is about in October. Sometimes one of these things goes really fast. Other times I could be working for weeks on a piece like this. And I'll do a little bit of this, and then a little bit of that, and then I work on another piece for a while. So somebody was asking me how long it takes to do a piece like this. It can be like weeks, and some of them are done maybe in a couple of days. It all depends on where the energy is and what's going on and how the emotions are and how the colors work. Sometimes a painting doesn't work at all and you start all over again, and all of a sudden a wonderful other painting comes out of it. I'm sure those of you who are an artist can relate to this very well. I use wood panels. I prefer to work on wood panels because I like to use knives and pellet knives, so you can really push on it. If I did that on a canvas, I probably would end up cutting it and making a hole in it. So 99% of my work's all on wood panel. I use mainly acrylic paint. It's much healthier to use. I don't really like working with oil because it's very toxic, and I share my studio with another artist, and we both really like to think about each other's health, so we try to prevent oil. I do use oil occasionally, but it's a water-soluble oil, hard word to say for Dutchie. But it basically means you can dissolve it with water, so it's still an oil paint, but you can use water with it. Most pieces, the name comes at the end. Some of them I'm painting and I'm right in the beginning, and I know. I have a piece that's called Storm. And that one, when I started painting it, I immediately knew that's what that painting was going to be called. This one, there's no final name. I'm thinking about it. I usually have to wait till the painting is finished. At one point, it tells me it's done, and then miraculously, most of the time, the name comes. Sometimes it takes a while.
So, ever thought of digitalizing the different phases of the piece?
Yes, a lot of artists do that. Personally, I don't. I feel it's cheating. I think it needs to come from the heart and it needs to come from the soul. But I know there's a lot of artists who do that, and it's definitely tempting because these days you can do so much in Photoshop and you can play and add colors to your art and see if it works, and you would save a lot of paint doing it that way.
But not only that, but digitalizing in terms of catching the moment of where the painting was at that point. So in case you over-art it, you at least can look back 5 years. 5 years ago, the painting looked different.
Definitely, I do that sometimes because I photograph my art when I think it's finished, and I've had it that I photographed it and got about ready to put it on my website or in a show, and all of a sudden I look at the photograph and I go, oh no, it needs this or it needs that, and so back it goes on the easel and I restart it, and there's a couple of paintings on the wall over there that I probably have 3 or 4 stages of that painting, and there's some that you won't even recognize anymore because when I had that moment I totally changed the painting. And for me, painting is a way to be bold, courageous, to kind of let go of my daily emotions of this amazing journey of life. So it can change with the day, the mood, the emotion, and that's the life of the artist, I think, in a nutshell. If you'd like to know a little bit more of the show, you can go to my website, which is www.barbaraarnoldart.com, and all the details are there, where it is, what time.